Hi and welcome to BreakFree NDP. I'm going to read a few articles that I've written in regards to growing up with narcissistic parents. Please pardon my English as it's not my first language, as well as my grammar. I'm trying my best to be as clear as possible. The first topic is called Narcissistic Parents and the Adult Child. Once you become an adult, whether this means you are over 18 years old or older and have your own place to live in and income, you will become more and more aware of the punishments and guilt you are receiving, even after you stop being a child. We are all someone's children, we are not forever children. We mature, our common sense becomes stronger, and we are more aware of our individualism. This can be an eye-opener for many things, good and bad. If you are an adult child of a narcissistic parent, the good means you are finally starting to discover who you are, what you want, and you see the reality clearly. And the bad means you are now aware of the things that have happened to you and how your narcissistic parents treat you like an extension of themselves rather than your own self. The punishments inflicted on adult children by their narcissistic parents can be very subtle or very obvious. A few examples would be the silence treatment, with which you would be used to by now from your childhood. The silence treatment is a form of control and manipulation, and is usually used by the narcissistic parent when he or she realizes they don't have arguments good enough to make their point, or when they have already made their point but don't want to give you the chance to continue to defend yourself. The guilt will take over, and you, as the adult child, will start looking for answers within yourself, and you end up blaming yourself for upsetting your parents. Another form of punishment is physical abuse. You may think the abuse will stop once you are older, once you are taller and stronger, once you are on your own and should be respected. In some cases, your accomplishments as a human being who can take care of herself or himself are not appreciated or respected. Narcissistic parents will not stop themselves from physically abusing you or act aggressive towards you because in their eyes, you will always be their property. Punishments can be very subtle, meaning that your narcissistic parent can use so-called suggestions to influence your decisions in life, then turning them in demands while adding a threat in and making you feel guilty. Here's an example from my life. At 27 years old, I was engaged to be married the following year to my fiancé, who was 28 years old at the time. We came up with a logo for our wedding invitations as well as the theme for our wedding. We shared the logo and layout with both sets of parents. My fiancé's parents found our idea very original, creative, and representative of us, while my parents had a discussion on their own and then came to our house to tell us we cannot use the invitations like that. They made a decision on their own that did not belong to them, asking us to change the logo because it would be embarrassing to give to their friends, and they showed us a few of their ideas. They considered that a suggestion, while making sure that if we don't do what they suggested, they won't be inviting any of their friends. Most parents are happy to see their adult children become their own individuals, but narcissistic parents do not like that. I believe that some narcissistic parents genuinely want to see their adult children happy and accomplished, but only if things go the way they suggest. They have no boundaries in terms of how far they should go with involvement and when to keep the distance. Narcissistic parents generally don't seem pleased at all to see their adult children on their own, to see them make their own decisions, and to develop their own way of thinking. Narcissistic parents strongly believe that their adult children are not able to make the correct decisions without their approval and without their help. They feel hurt and consider their adult children ungrateful when they are not being involved in the decision making. When adult children become stronger and make decisions on their own without seeking approval and are able to stand up to their abusers, the narcissistic parents resort to punishments. The most used punishment on an adult child by his or her narcissistic parents is guilt. They will use anything they might have done for you in your life to make you feel guilty for it, from conceiving you, for birthing you, for cleaning your diapers, doing your laundry, sending you to school, feeding you, etc. Narcissistic parents don't have the capability to understand they have wronged you, but they are sometimes aware of when they have lost an argument. When that happens, they shut their adult children down by reminding them that children are not supposed to judge their parents. For example, I was almost 30 years old when my narcissistic parents and I had a big argument, and we ended up not talking for a while. My enabler stepdad contacted me through a text message to say that we should have a dialogue because my narcissistic mom is not feeling well. There was no question in regards to how I felt about the situation. I told him I don't think I am able to have a dialogue because I feel hurt and don't have the patience to deal with it in a proper way now, because I fear that the dialogue will end up in them insulting me. His response was, "How dare you judge us? If you weren't for your mom, you wouldn't have existed. You are not worth a piece of dust. You wouldn't have had a degree in the job that you have now." That is one of the worst punishments narcissistic parents can use against their adult children in order to control them. As an adult, and perhaps even as a child, you are being made aware of your narcissistic parent's sacrifice throughout your life. You know and learn to feel guilty for anything you have accomplished, and you feel like you will forever owe them. You take away your self-worth and replace it with guilt. The reality is, our parents are responsible to give us food and education. A parent is considered a parent once he or she develops the ability to raise a child. Raising a child does not and should not include any of the following: physical abuse, sexual abuse, psychological abuse, and emotional abuse. Our responsibility as adult children is to make sure we develop into our own selves, that we start thinking for ourselves, and we take care of ourselves. We are responsible to get cured and believe in who we are.